Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7 of the Knitted by Catherine podcast. It's lovely to be back for my latest episode. So how's everybody been? It's been a couple of weeks since my last episode and I've got quite a lot to share with you today. I've been very busy trying to finish off my whips, so you'll be pleased to hear that I stuck to my list and I've actually worked through quite a few things that I'm going to be showing you during the video today, and I resisted temptation and I haven't cast on anything new, which is amazing. So let's start with what I'm wearing. Today it's a bit chilly outside, which is quite nice actually. It's a nice autumn crisp day. Today's the 2nd of November, so I'm starting to be able to pull out my woolies, which is a lovely feeling. And this is just an old sweater that I knitted probably a few years ago now, and it's just a basic sweater pattern. I don't even know the pattern, I can look for you. So it's just a simple sweater that I knitted in pieces. It's just a straightforward drop sleeve sweater with no shaping at all really. It's got a crew cut neckline, which I made a little bit of a mistake on. I misread the pattern and I didn't pick up quite enough stitches, so the neckline is actually a little bit too tight, but I still quite like it. I can get it on, but it could do with being a little bit more stretchy, a few more stitches in there. And the yarn is James C. Brett Marble. It's a DK weight yarn. It's an acrylic wool mix, very affordable, you can buy it still, and it's a beautiful shade, blue with sort of rusts and purples. I think it's quite hard to sort of see the colours, but it's really lovely. I hope the camera's picking up the colours. One thing about it though, this blue shade, once I'd finished knitting it, it took me forever to sew it up because it was just so dark, trying to make sure that it seamed accurately in the dark with this dark colour. Very hard, but yeah, it's just a simple sweater, so nothing fancy, just a wardrobe basic really. So today let's start with my works in progress. So in my last episode I talked to you about organising my whips, and I showed you my All Is Calm socks by Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears, which I mentioned is a free pattern if you are a Bakery Bear patron. I think all levels of patron can access the All Is Calm socks. And I have a finished sock, and the second sock is on the needle. I've turned the heel and I'm just beginning to work the gusset decreases. So I think the reason why these socks have knitted so quickly is because it's a pattern repeat. I wanted a sock with a simple pattern that would hide the pooling in this yarn. The yarn I mentioned last time is West Yorkshire Spinners. It's a shade called Foxglove, which is one of their flower themed yarns, I believe. I presume, depending on your tension, you may get a pooling effect, which I seem to get with this yarn. So this pattern's really good because it's got a simple 6-row pattern repeat, and I think that really helps to disguise the pooling that's going on, and I absolutely love them. So really pleased, and I think a sock with a pattern repeat as well really helps because the sock seems to fly off the needles. So it's got a simple toe and it's a different heel. I'm going to have to look up the name of this heel. It's not your typical standard heel. The heel sort of has I think it might be a Dutch heel, but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't actually like the fit that much. It's a lovely heel, it's super neat, but on my heel it feels strange, so I'm reserving judgment on the heel, but it is good to learn a different heel. I will insert in the description box below the name of the heel once I've found out what type of heel it is for you. Slightly different from the normal standard heel I've done in the past. So that is sock number 1 and sock number 2. My next work in progress that I want to share with you is something I've been working on. Now, I am having a go at making my own cowl. The yarn I'm using is Women's Institute Homegrown, which is an exclusive yarn to Hobbycraft. It's a DK weight, but what's really nice about this yarn is it is 100% British wool. Hobbycraft is a chain retailer, arts and crafts retailer, and most of the yarn is not, 100% wool, so it's nice to pick up something there that is a lovely rustic wool. It only comes in about 6 shades, but this mustard shade is absolutely beautiful. You might recognize this pattern from my previous episodes. This is the Little Block Cowl, and it's my block pattern that I made on my first sock design, so I'm working it up into a cowl. I decided to go for a DK weight rather than 4-ply, just because I wanted it to be a little bit more cozy, and also knitting a cowl in 4-ply does take quite a long time. And the plan is as well, I think I'd quite like to make a hat and possibly some wristies or mitts, so we'll just see where this design takes me. But yeah, I think it's going to be really snuggly and cozy. So it's a little cowl that I'm working on, so let me know what you think to my new pattern, and hopefully next episode I will have the finished cowl to share with you. Next up, I have got some finished objects to share with you. Now, I've been very busy. I've been finishing off lots of my works in progress. First up, I'm going to share with you my Westboro hat. Now, showed you this last episode and it was on the needles, and I've done a really good job of finishing this. So this is the Westboro hat. This is by Selma of Little Big Knits. If you haven't watched her podcast, I thoroughly recommend it. And it's her only pattern, and it's a really lovely simple hat. It's a great stash buster. I used up stash yarn, leftovers from a cardigan that I've worn in a previous episode. It's just a simple knit hat with beautiful, I called them popcorns last time, but I think they might actually just be called bubbles. They're small little bubbles, almost like berries. So yeah, I'll turn to one side so you can see the hat. And it's got a nice slouchy fit, and I think it's going to be super for winter and autumn. So I'm very pleased with this, and I might make another one at some point. So this is the Westboro hat. Next up, I want to share with you my finished Mrs. Bakery Bear. I mentioned her in a previous podcast, I'm sure, and I started her about a year ago, and she was just all knitted, but I suppose with soft toys, it's like anything, it's just the finishing that you don't necessarily like. And she is really cute. Do you think she's quite Christmassy with her little red and white dress? Look at her. There she is. I recommend this pattern if you want a simple first teddy bear to make. She's very sweet. She's knitted in the round, so you don't have mattress seaming really. The only seaming really is joining her legs to her tummy and joining her arms on, but Kay does give quite clear instructions. The only thing I chose to do differently, Mrs. Bakery Bear normally has her arms sort of sticking up like this, but I think she looks cuter with sort of pointing down arms, so that was a decision I made. Let's show you my mattress seaming on the back as well. So I think I did quite a good job. I blocked the little dress. The little dress was curling and I gave it a block. It's the yarn that I used for the dress is Drops Charisma, and it's white and red, and I was a little bit worried that the red might bleed, but actually there's just a bit of fluff from the red has obviously gone on the white, but it hasn't bled at all. So the yarn Drops Charisma is a double knitting weight and it's 100% wool, and then Mrs. Bakery Bear is knitted in Cascade 200, which is a worsted weight yarn. I believe I believe the bear is meant to be knitted in worsted weight. And then I use Gutermann beads as per Kay's pattern for her eyes, which are very cute, and they make the eyes sort of sink in. And I use, I think it was sheep, I don't know how you say it, sheep's geese, somebody can tell me how you pronounce it. Just their katona for the little embroidery on the nose. It's a sort of 4-ply cotton, I believe, but she's super cute. I'm really pleased with her. So that's Mrs. Bakery Bear for you. Let me know if you like her. She's very Christmassy and I really love her. She's staying with me. She's not going to be a little gift for anybody. Oh, the one thing I missed off as well, she has little shoes, but I think her little feet look cute, so I didn't make her shoes. Oh, look who's come. Hello, you got little Mia? Here she is. She's sitting on my knee. She's come to explore and see what I'm doing. You might notice that the lighting's a little bit different. Halfway through again, my camera decided to stop filming and I didn't have time to carry on. So I'm back today for part 2. My next finished object I have to share with you is a pair of fingerless mitts. Now the pattern is called the Sarah mitts, and these are a free download that you can get on Ravelry. And I've made these before. I made these for my daughter and I used the recommended needle size at the time, which is 3.5mm. I found that they came out a little bit snug for me, so I decided to go up to 4mm needles, and they're knitted on DPN, so I'm just going to put them on to show you. So these are the Sarah fingerless mitts. They're a long-standing whip. I'd made one of the mittens, or part of the mitten, and I needed to make the second one. So here we are. These mitts are knitted in some stash yarn, some leftovers from my Valencia shawl. The yarn is called Yarn Stories Merino DK, I believe. And the shades that I used are Lilac and Thistle. And then on the second mitt, I've used the Thistle. And when it came to making it, I knew I had enough of the lilac left over, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't understand what happened. So I decided to make some contrasting, matchy, but mismatching mitts. I used the grey shade as well that I had. And of course, wouldn't you know it, as soon as I finished them, I found the leftover of the lilac shade, but I quite like them. They're mismatching. They match my shawl as well. They're for me. I'm only going to be wearing them on cold mornings when I go out walking my dog. I like fingerless mitts. Obviously it keeps your fingers free. So I'm very pleased with these. These are the Sarah fingerless mitts. You can find the pattern, and as usual I'll link to the project page, my project page, in the notes below. My final finished object is a cushion. Now I don't normally make homewares at all, so I don't know what possessed me, but I decided to make myself a cushion. So what we've got here is a super chunky cushion which knitted up very quickly. It's knitted on large needles, 10mm needles, and it's just a simple pattern by Hayfield, I believe. You've got a stocking stitch with garter ribs here, and then it's just a simple envelope back. If I just hold it towards the camera, the wool is 100% acrylic, and I will say that I'm not that keen on it. It's incredibly fluffed up already, and I've only had it on my bed for about a week. It may well just be the type of yarn I've used. The cushion is cute though, and I'm pleased with it, but I think if I was to make something like this again, I wouldn't necessarily choose this yarn. If I'd made a garment in it, I'd be very, very disappointed. The fuzz all over it, I don't know if you can see it. The other thing with the pattern as well, didn't give any instructions particularly how to seam, so I used a mattress stitch seam to join the sides, which I think gives you the neatest finish. But yeah, I've got a snuggly cushion. It back there. So that is all my finished objects for today. As you can see, I've made really good progress. I've got a couple more to work through that I'm working on at the moment. I am still trying to resist the temptation to cast on, so maybe I might have a couple of new cast ons for the next episode, but I do still want to carry on working through these whips. So next up, I thought I'd talk about a couple of podcasts that I've been watching this month. The first one, sorry, can you hear cats? I don't know what they're doing. The first one, they're playing underneath my bed, I think. Not quite sure. So the first one I've watched this month. Hello. Hello, Tildy. So the first new podcast that I've discovered this month is The Thoughtful Knitter. So this is a relatively new podcast. It's by a lady called Ailey. She's a Scottish lady, and I believe she's got 3 episodes so far. I really like her podcasts. They are quite short. She deliberately sets out to make podcasts no longer than 30 minutes. And she wants to make podcasts for people that are easily accessible, that are broken up into quick chunks, short chunks. And she shared some really, really beautiful makes, and she's just really lovely to listen to with her lovely Scottish accent. So I definitely recommend you go and visit her podcast. The next new podcast I've been watching is Bubbles and Berries, and this is a podcast by a lovely French lady called Aude, who lives in Scotland as well. And she has got some beautiful makes, and she also makes the most wonderful hand embroidered project bags. I've really enjoyed listening to her, and it's nice to watch podcasters in the beginning of their journey. Just like me, I'm only on episode 7, so I love watching people grow and how their podcasts get better with time. I'm hoping that mine are getting better. I don't feel quite so nervous now talking to the camera, and we can only get better. So if you've got some new podcasters that you can recommend to me, I'd love to hear from you. So just leave me a comment in the notes below. Next up, let's talk about acquisitions. I mentioned in my last video that I'm very interested in trying some Amigurumi toys, and I've seen a couple of books that I fancied shared in other podcasts. So the first book I've got is The Animal Friends of Peek-a-Pow, which is by Yen Schenkel. And it's a really gorgeous book. The characters have got such beautiful expressions, and they're so adorable. The instructions in this book look really good as well. They look quite detailed. So I think I will be able to master these. I'm just going to find a couple of my favourites for you. My favourite in the whole book is the little bear. Isn't he gorgeous? And I also really like the little wolf as well. But there's lots and lots that I would like to have a go at. The other good thing in the patterns as well is she tells you the skill level, so whether they're beginner, intermediate or advanced. So I think when you're first going with it, you might want to do one of the easiest ones in the book. So there's lots for me there. So that's on my list of things. I buy all these things and I say I'm going to make them, but I am trying to work through some whips first. But it's a beautiful book. And I also got myself Peek-a-Pow 2. So this is the Animal Friends of Peek-a-Pow 2. Again, fantastic characters, beautiful expressions. I particularly love little koala here. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to reading through these and having a little think about what I might like to make first. I do have some stash yarn I could probably use as well, and I think that's the beauty of toys. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy new yarn. You've probably got bits of leftovers and things that you can use yourself to sort of hook these up quickly, or knit yourself a new toy. So there they are, my 2 new crochet books. Animal Friends of Pika Pal 1 and Pika Pal 2. I'll leave links to these in the description box below in case you're interested in checking them out. I have also bought myself some sock yarn. Believe it or not, I have nearly exhausted my stash of sock yarn, which is a really good feeling. So I had a little look online and I noticed that Hobbycraft had a 3 for 2 sale. So I purchased myself 6 balls of West Yorkshire Spinner Signature 4-ply, one of my favourite sock yarns, but I only paid for 4, so I thought that was brilliant. And let's show what I got. West Yorkshire Spinners have various different collections, and first of all I have got 2 Christmassy yarns. So this one is Vintage Tinsel, and it's beautiful. We've got the sparkle and it's sort of tinsely colours, so that's going to knit up into a really lovely pair of socks. And I have the Silent Night colourway, absolutely beautiful, again with the sparkle. Love that one. This is a seasonal yarn. This one is called Autumn Leaves and it's gorgeous colours. I think this might have to be the first one I cast on. Isn't that beautiful? I'm looking forward to seeing how that knits up. And then we have Winter Icicle, so sweet. All of their yarns are self-striping mainly, I believe, so I'm looking forward to seeing the colours. They do also sell contrasting colours that contrast with all their main sock yarns as well, so you can get contrasting colours to go with them as well. This is actually from the Winwick Mum collection, I've just noticed. I'm wondering if the Autumn Leaves is as well. Yes, the Autumn Leaves, they're both in the Winwick Mum collection. Let me find that there on the camera. The Winwick Mum collection. And I forgot to say these are Signature Sparkle, so that's another collection they do as well, and I think they bring out a new Christmas colourway every year. And then the last 2 I picked up, quite different. So this one is called Wildflowers. So if I just hold that one forward for you, and it's beautiful colours of flowers that we would find in a meadow, absolutely beautiful. And West Yorkshire Spinners is 35% Blueface Leicester, and so it's 75% wool, 35% of it is Blueface Leicester, 25% nylon, and it is machine washable. I tend to hand wash, but you can pop them in the machine. They can't be tumble dried, and they do have a very sheepy smell. And the last one I purchased is called Brightside, and this is also a Winwick Mum collection yarn, and it's really beautiful, brights, yellows, greens, blues, reds. I think that's going to be super knitted up into a pair of socks. So I am really pleased with my lovely sock yarn, and as you can see, some super socks that are going to be coming this winter. So watch this space. Hopefully when I finish my All Is Calm socks, I'll have a new cast on for you. The last thing that I bought myself this month is the Inclination Shawl by Andrea Mowry. Now, I mentioned before that I've been watching her podcast, I'll Knit If I Want To, and she's a very popular knitwear designer, but I'd never knitted anything by her at all myself. I've watched her podcasts, but the new shawl that she's just brought out really appeals to me. It looks super squishy. She's knitted it in quite expensive yarn. I think it's a Spin Cycle, and it's got the colour shifts, but I'm planning on buying a self-striping Aran weight yarn and just doing it in one colour and letting the yarn do the magic for me. It's knitted in half fisherman's rib. It just looks super squishy and perfect for winter, so I am planning on having a look at that one and getting on with that at some point soon when I'm able to cast on a new project. So that's everything for this episode. Last week was half term here in the UK, so I took a week off work, which was really nice, spending time at home relaxing with my daughter and spending time with my lovely pets. It's starting to get nice and crisp here and a bit chilly in the day, so able to get my knitwear out, which is really nice, and it's just perfect time for snuggling up on the sofa with my knitting, watching either some Netflix or watching some knitting podcasts. So that's what I'll probably be doing in my spare time over the next few weeks, and I hope to catch up with you soon. So thank you for stopping by my channel. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please leave me a little comment in the notes below. I do love hearing from you and what you've thought of the podcast and my makes. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, or just to say hi and let me know where you're watching from. It is really lovely when people tell me if they're from various places around the world, so it would be great. Just stop by and say hello. If you want to connect with me, you can find links to my Ravelry and also to my Instagram. I do have my own blog as well, which is www.knittedbykathryn.com, so I post links to my videos on there. You can also find links to my sock pattern as well, the Little Block sock pattern, which you can purchase on Etsy and on Ravelry if you're at all interested. And as usual, I will leave links to everything I've mentioned in the description box below. But if I haven't mentioned something and I've forgotten about it, if there's something you want to know, just leave me a comment or drop me an email and I'll get back to you. And if you could hit the like and subscribe buttons, that would be fantastic. It really helps me. I can't believe we are pushing close to the 500 number. I think I've got 10 subscribers to go. Once I hit that 500, I'm planning a little giveaway. I think I might buy some West Yorkshire spinners for you, and I might get a project back as well. So like and subscribe, it would be great. And then once I've got that 500 subscribers, I'll make a short little video with details of my giveaway. And all that remains for me to say is thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.